What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. We got to talk about the government-funded media, or the propaganda arm of the government once again, because, well, just like all the times that we hear Doug Ford speak or Mark Carney come out or talk about how bad things are in Canada, they're now going full stupidity. They've hit an 11 on the stupidity scale. They are now blaming Donald Trump, not like they do for everything else, but they're now blaming Donald Trump for your Christmas bills. And one of the things that I find so funny is that in Toronto, of all places, the government propaganda arm goes around with their cameras to try and interview people. And this is why we're currently stuck in the situation we are in Canada. A lot of people say, especially from outside the country, people like in America who watch this, and shout out to all my American viewers who join us regularly, that say, well, you guys voted for this. We didn't. Toronto voted for this. Toronto, or as Matt calls it on Wednesdays, Mega City 1, is basically in charge of who's in charge of the country when it comes to the per capita vote in Canada. CTV News says tariffs are now to explain for your mall bill. It's all Donald Trump's fault that you can't afford Christmas. It has nothing to do with the vast printing of money, the lowering of the Canadian dollar and its value. It has nothing to do with mass inflation or mass immigration that's lowering our dollar value and raising the cost of living, the job losses that are bleeding out of the country, Mark Carney's refusal to make an adequate deal with Donald Trump and treat America fairly, I might add, because like Donald says, Canada has treated America very poorly. They've treated it very poorly, and now we need to negotiate a new deal. But I will not be negotiating with Canada. Mark Carney can go get a lollipop, feel better. He's actually dropped some of the tariffs recently, but still says there's not going to be any deal. CTV News runs around Toronto because they're going to get the most left, brainwashed sheep opinion. Mark Nixon tweets out that the CTV says the tariffs explain your mall bill. The reality, 90% of Canada-US trade equals duty-free under USMCA. 10 to 35% hits only non-compliant goods. The rest, weak dollar, taxes, fees, and markups. Honest reporting, it's the Liberals' fault. Fix the economy. Now, there is a video clip here from CTV showing all the brainwashed morons who walk around going, yeah, it's all Donald Trump's fault. I'm not going to be buying anything this year for Christmas. But here, we'll have to go to an article because anytime I show these videos, anytime I show what's being said, CTV, CBC, they all like to hit me with copyright strikes. But reading text, folks, there's no copyright strike on that. Luckily, they put out an article to back up their silly claim. Holiday shopping is underway at the Toronto Eaton Centre, where the mall's towering Christmas tree is already drawing crowds and setting the tone for the season. But as holiday shoppers get an early start, many say they're planning to pull back on spending amid concerns about the economy, inflation, and potential tariff impacts. Well, it wouldn't be a good article to talk about how much the Liberal government has done absolutely nothing, how they are the biggest failure in Canadian history, by just blaming Donald Trump. This is how Mark Carney won the prime ministership. This is how he stole the election and was installed. And this is how Doug Ford keeps his job in Ontario. And this is how they'll keep it running on their machine for as long as possible, by coping against those with Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS as they call it. The woke left have a huge problem. In fact, they curl up in little balls in the fetal position and cry for mommy anytime you mention the word Trump. It's actually quite funny. I spend my holidays walking around wearing Donald Trump Christmas sweaters. I love triggering the lefties. Everybody loves the Donald in Alberta. We love Donald. I know there's probably a couple of people in the comments. Hey, Fringe, stop doing that Donald Trump voice. Stop talking about Trump. I don't like him. They don't like me very much. Who doesn't love the Donald? As holiday shoppers get an early start, many say they're planning to pull back on spending and concerns about the tariff impacts. Laura Pucci, I'm going to say, works in the mall, says she's already begun buying gifts, but with a slightly more cautious eye on her budget. Let's give this one a good voice. Things are really expensive right now, so I'm probably going to be cutting back a little bit, or budgeting well, or just making sure I buy things on Black Friday, she said. Black Friday is the biggest scam in Canada. In fact, what you see at most retailers is they'll actually raise the prices pre-Black Friday just to lower them to regular price on Black Friday, so people like Laura Pucci can go there and save money on Black Friday. That caution is being echoed across the country. A new Bank of Montreal survey shows that 3 in 5 Canadians are adjusting their holiday spending plans, and some citing worries about tariffs and broader economic uncertainty. That's caused by the Liberal Party, folks. That's caused by Mark Carney. That has nothing to do with Donald J. Trump. God bless America and Trump, by the way. Just got to throw that in there. Just got to make the lefties even more angry. What's funny is that I keep seeing articles about this. I keep seeing articles where guys like Pierre have come out and say, you know, most Canadians are using food banks and people can't afford anything anymore. People can't afford skyrocketing rents. I agree. When I look at what the market shows, when I look at what the market has for rentals, when I see the job situation in the country, I say, how can anybody afford this? But I'll tell you something, folks. When you drive around woke Edmonton on a Friday night and you try to figure out, hey, you know, maybe, you know, for this once in a while treat, we go out as a family, we get a meal somewhere or something like that. You head to a restaurant, there's a 2-hour wait on a Friday night. It's packed. You walk into West Edmonton Mall, which I know, tourist trap, but it is the closest mall to us when we go into the city. You walk around there, and when I lived in Calgary, like, you'd see people walking around the malls, but nobody had bags. They were just there essentially to window shop. When you go into West Edmonton Mall, you can see everybody's got bags. Everybody's shopping. The place is packed. And I often say, who works anymore and where are people getting their money? Because I'd sure like to get in on that. According to the survey conducted between September 3rd and October 11th, with more than 2,500 Canadians, 41% of shoppers plan to scale back their spending this year, while 15% say that they're budgeting more in anticipation of higher prices. A quarter of respondents said they started shopping early to avoid possible price hikes. On average, they're expected to spend $2,310 this season, $2,310. Who has that kind of money? I don't. I can tell you that. A number of viewers on my channel tell me they can't even afford Christmas dinner, let alone $2,300 on gifts or costs. Although it does say that this includes travel, dining out, decorations, and gifts, the survey found that 37% plan to buy items minimally affected by tariffs, including goods made in Canada. What a stupid statement that is. There's this general concern from Canadians of maybe needing to be really fiscally responsible over the holidays because there's still a little bit of uncertainty about where things are headed next year, said Tony Trinitali, head of the specialized sales of Bank of Montreal. He says that he expects travel to take a hit as Canadians look to tighten their budgets. Well, that's because we're paying the industrial carbon tax. That's because even though Mark Carney reduced the carbon tax to zero, I said reduced, he didn't eliminate it. Gas prices only went down for about 2 weeks. And then they shot right back up again. So again, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has to do with the cost of living in Canada. He says, we've already seen a lot of people not really traveling as much to the United States, and I think a lot of people are not going to be away. At the mall, some shoppers shared their plans to curb spending, in some cases severely. Caitlin Robertson said a full-time student working 3 jobs said spending simply isn't an option this year. Well, that's because she has to work 3 jobs just to be able to pay rent, to be able to pay her tuition. Again, it's the cost of living in Canada. Nothing about tariffs in those 3 jobs. I have to work a lot to afford rent, so spending money is not on the table, she said, adding that she also has to pay her tuition. Others said they were trying to shop early to secure better prices. Jennifer Leadhead said she always tries to start ahead of the rush, but plans to spend less this year, partly to save for a possible January trip to Mexico, but also because of rising costs. So it's because she's going on vacation. It has nothing to do. Like, again, they have to put that little tidbit in there, but they try to spin it that, oh, times are so tough because of Donald Trump. She can only afford to go to Mexico in January. I'm finding the prices have gone up so much, even for food, she said. So this year, definitely spending a lot less on presents in general. Again, going to Mexico in January. Most people in January, even when the economy is successful, tighten their belts in January because of their spending at Christmas. So if you're going on a trip to Mexico, chances are you're tightening your belt pre-January in order to pay for your trip. Teresa said she's only just begun her shopping and still has many gifts left to buy. While she plans to spend more on her grandson, she has noticed prices climbing. You have to look around a little bit more than you did previously, she said, but I'm making it work. Separate survey by insolvency firm Harris and Partners, who's probably paid off by the Liberal government, found Canadians are heading into the season with added financial stress. 54% said they felt anxious about affording Christmas. 61% said they don't feel financially prepared. As for advice, Tintinelli says having a plan and sticking to your budget is important. You can still be very mindful and fiscally responsible if you do a bit of planning. So, they never once talk about the fact that wages have skyrocketed out of control to the point that because of minimum wage standards, because of temporary workers, because of all the benefits companies are getting, and because of the profit that they're pushing. Keep in mind, their prices haven't come down since the pandemic. This is all them making more money and not wanting to scale back and make what they used to make. They've helped create this economy after all. They have to keep their profits up to pay for sky-high retail rent. They have to pay for their employees. And they have to still get their 6 houses and their bonuses at the end of the year. So there's no talks about, yeah, prices are really out of control. This market is screwed. Retailers need to wake up and start making things more affordable for its consumers. People need to start voting with their wallet and refusing to support stores that have jacked up prices. You don't have to go out and spend $2,300 on Christmas. You can do something affordable and save your money and tell those retailers to go kick rocks. None of that is ever discussed. Yet grocery stores, retailers, they all jack up the prices and they expect you to fork it over. I personally would love to see at the end of this shopping season some of these retailers saying that they didn't make near what they projected. If you walk into a Best Buy or you walk into any kind of major retail store, you can see their stores flooded with product, hoping that consumers snatch it up and spend a fortune this holiday season. As much as I would like to see them fail, as much as I would like to see them say, oh, you know what, people really took a stance with their wallet this year and voted in favor of lower prices. You know, just like this article, they'll turn around and blame Donald Trump at the end of it all. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree that the cost of your gifts this year are because of the president? Or do you think that there's, I don't know, money printing, economy, inflation, bad leadership, bad policies, maybe has a little bit of something to do with it? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, boy, I sure hope this video earned your subscription. It really helps if you hit that button. It helps to push this video out. It helps to tell people this channel's worth checking out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. It's free. Leave a thumbs up and a comment as well. Helps drive it out even further for people to see the content, especially at a time when YouTube suppresses this kind of content on the platform. So a thumbs up and a comment always helps, folks. Don't forget to join me live Wednesdays and Fridays for Unhinged Fringe on Wednesday nights with my new co-host Matt. Friday Night Fringe with the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we sit down and talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know coming up in the week ahead, as well as Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I always look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to chatting with you this Friday starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here every Wednesday and Friday on the channel. I know I said Friday, but every Wednesday and Friday on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.